In the book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, the prophet Jeremiah delivers a letter from God to the Israelites who had been taken into exile in Babylon. This chapter contains important instructions and promises from God intended to guide the exiles on how to live during their time in Babylon and how to maintain hope for the future. Below is a detailed account of the instructions God gave to the Israelites in exile. 1. Settle down, live in the land and build houses. God instructs the exiles to build houses and live in them. This directive emphasizes that the Israelites should not see their exile as a temporary inconvenience but rather as a period of time that requires them to establish stable and normal lives in Babylon. Plant gardens and eat their produce. The Israelites are told to plant gardens and eat what they produce. This instruction highlights the importance of self-sufficiency and being productive in their new environment. Marry and have children. God encourages the Israelites to continue their family lives by marrying and having children. This was meant to ensure that the population would grow and that the community would remain strong and vibrant despite being in exile. Increase in number, do not decrease. The command to increase in number reflects God's desire for the Israelites to thrive and not diminish while in exile. It was important for the community to grow and maintain its identity and strength. 2. Seek the peace and prosperity of the city. God instructs the Israelites to seek the peace and prosperity of Babylon, the city where they are exiled. This is a significant command because it encourages the Israelites to contribute positively to the society in which they now live, even though it is foreign to them. Pray to the Lord for the city. They are also told to pray for the city, as its welfare is directly tied to their own well-being. By praying for the city and working for its prosperity, the Israelites would, in turn, experience peace and stability. 3. Do not be deceived by false prophets. God warns the Israelites not to be deceived by the false prophets and diviners among them who were claiming that the exile would be short-lived. These false prophets were giving the people false hope, telling them that they would soon return to Jerusalem. Listen to God, not false prophets. God explicitly states that these prophets were not sent by him and that their messages were lies. The people are instructed to disregard these false prophecies and to trust in God's plan for their future. 4. Wait for the appointed time. The promise of 70 years. God reveals to the Israelites that their time in exile will last 70 years. This time frame is meant to set realistic expectations and to encourage the Israelites to make the best of their situation during this period. After 70 years, God will fulfill his promise. God promises that after the 70 years are completed, he will fulfill his good promise to bring the Israelites back to Jerusalem. This assurance is meant to give the exiles hope and patience as they wait for the appointed time. 5. Trust in God's plans for the future, plans for prosperity and hope. One of the most well-known verses in the Bible, Jeremiah chapter 29 verses 11, contains God's reassurance that he has plans to prosper the Israelites and not to harm them, plans to give them hope and a future. This promise is meant to comfort the exiles, reminding them that despite their current circumstances, God's ultimate plan for them is one of well-being and hope. A future filled with hope. God's message is clear. The exile is part of a larger plan that will ultimately lead to a better future for the Israelites. They are encouraged to trust in this plan and to remain hopeful. 6. Call upon God and seek him. God encourages the Israelites to call upon him in prayer. He assures them that he will listen to their prayers, emphasizing the importance of maintaining a strong relationship with God during their time in exile. God promises that when the Israelites seek him with all their heart, they will find him. This instruction underscores the importance of wholehearted devotion and trust in God, even in difficult circumstances. 7. The promise of restoration. I will bring you back. God concludes his message with a promise of restoration. He assures the Israelites that he will gather them from all the nations where they have been scattered and bring them back to the land from which they were exiled. A promise of return. This promise of return is meant to give the Israelites hope and assurance that their exile is not the end of their story. God's faithfulness and commitment to his people remain steadfast, and he will bring them back to their homeland in due time. In conclusion, in Jeremiah chapter 29, God's instructions to the Israelites in exile are a combination of practical guidance for living in a foreign land and spiritual encouragement to trust in His plan. They are told to settle down, contribute to their new community, avoid false hopes, and remain patient as they wait for God's timing. God's promises of peace, prosperity, and a hopeful future are central to this message, providing the exiles with the assurance that their current situation is temporary and that God's ultimate plan for them is one of restoration and blessing. You are held in prison custody. It is important that you work out for a legal and procedural exit. I will highlight the same in another clip. Thank you and God bless you.